The planet was silent, except for the soft hum of the human explorer's suit. Captain Mark walked carefully across the cracked surface, his boots crunching on pale dust. The ruins around him looked ancient, broken buildings scattered like toys thrown by a giant. He had been sent to explore, to find signs of life, but so far there was nothing, only wind and empty metal. Suddenly, a tiny sound broke the silence, a soft, trembling cry that made him stop. He looked around, scanning the ruins, his heart beating faster. "Hello?" he called, trying to sound calm, but the echo returned only whispers of the wind. Then he saw her, a small figure hiding behind a fallen wall. She was no taller than a child, with large eyes that reflected the dim light of the distant sun. In her hands, she held a small toy, broken and twisted, its pieces dangling like broken wires. Her mother lay nearby, motionless, one arm draped over the dusty ground, and her breath shallow. The little girl's eyes widened when she saw Mark, and she stumbled forward, trembling. "Human, please fix my toy. My mom, she fell," she whispered, her voice trembling like leaves in the wind. Mark froze, unsure what to do. He had trained for hostile encounters, for strange planets and alien life, but this was different. The girl did not look dangerous, but her fear and urgency filled the air like electricity. He knelt slowly, keeping his hands visible. I will help you," he said softly, trying not to scare her. The girl's eyes lit up, hope shining through the fear, and she crawled closer, holding out the broken toy. Mark took the toy carefully, noticing its strange design. It was not like any human toy he had seen before. The metal was light but strong, with tiny circuits glowing faintly. As he examined it, the girl's small voice broke the silence again. "Please, please fix it. Mom, she is very sick." He looked at the mother, her chest rising slowly, but pale and weak. Mark knew he had to act fast, but he also sensed something strange about this place. The ruins seemed empty, but the shadows moved oddly, flickering in the corners of his eyes. He felt like they were being watched, but he could not see who or what was there. Mark worked carefully on the toy, trying to repair the broken pieces. The girl watched him, her small hands clutching her mother's sleeve, never letting go. She whispered stories in a strange language, but some words he understood. "Please, do not let them take it. It is important," she said, shivering. Mark realized that this toy was not just a plaything. It was something more, something the girl feared losing. Suddenly, a faint glow appeared from the toy, soft and blue. The girl gasped, It is waking!" Mark looked up, and in the distance, he saw movement, shadows flickering across the ruins. He stood slowly, keeping the toy safe, and said, "Who is there?" But there was no answer. Only silence, broken by the girl's soft whimper. "Please, they will come. They want it," she whispered, clutching her mother tighter. Mark felt a chill run down his spine. He had faced many dangers in space, but nothing like this. A small, fragile child begging for help, holding something that could change everything. He had a choice. Leave them and continue the mission, or stay and face unknown dangers. He chose, without thinking, to stay. "I will not let anyone hurt you," he said firmly. The girl's eyes filled with tears, a mixture of relief and fear. She whispered her thanks, but there was no time to relax. The shadows in the ruins moved closer, and Mark realized that danger was near. He looked around, scanning for weapons, but all he had was his courage and his tools. The alien girl watched him, hope and fear in her eyes, waiting for him to protect them. As the sun began to set, the ruins were bathed in orange light. The small girl clung to her mother while Mark worked on the toy. Each piece he fixed seemed to hum with energy. The glow grew brighter, lighting up the shadows around them. Mark felt the weight of the moment, the responsibility on his shoulders. This was no longer just a simple mission. It was a fight for survival, for hope, for something he could not yet understand. And then, just as he connected the last piece, the toy emitted a soft, melodic sound. The girl's eyes sparkled, her fear mixed with joy. Her mother stirred, blinking slowly, weak but alive. Mark took a deep breath, knowing that this was only the beginning. The shadows still lurked, the ruins still held secrets, and the little girl whispered, once more, "Thank you, human, but they will come." Mark looked at her, determined. He had no idea what was coming, but he knew he could not let them face it alone. The strange encounter had begun, and the adventure was only starting.
The ruins were quiet now, except for the soft hum of the repaired toy. Captain Mark held it carefully, turning it over in his hands. It was small but strangely heavy, and its faint glow pulsed like a heartbeat. The little alien girl watched him, her large eyes full of hope and fear. "Is it working?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Mark nodded slowly. "It seems, but I do not know what it does yet." The girl's small hands trembled as she touched the toy lightly, almost afraid to break it again. Suddenly, the toy shifted in her hands, tiny symbols lighting up on its surface. Mark leaned closer, trying to understand. The symbols were not letters or numbers he knew. They moved and changed, forming shapes like a map. The girl gasped, It shows where we must go." Mark looked at her, surprised, realizing the toy was not just a plaything. It was a device, something alive with purpose. Before he could ask more, a strange noise echoed from the ruins, soft at first, then louder. The shadows seemed to move, flickering and twisting unnaturally. Mark felt a chill, reaching for his blaster. The girl's mother stirred beside them, weak but awake, her eyes scanning the shadows with knowledge and fear. They know we are here," she whispered softly. Mark looked around, but he saw nothing, yet felt everything. The air was heavy, full of tension, as if the ruins themselves were alive, watching, waiting. Mark focused back on the toy, noticing more details. Tiny panels opened, and inside were miniature circuits, glowing and shifting. He tried to touch them carefully, but the girl pulled him back. "Do not. It is fragile. It can sense them," she said quietly. Mark realized the toy was a signal, a key, something that could attract attention if used wrong. The thought made him uneasy. He had never seen technology like this. It was both beautiful and dangerous, small but powerful. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the far wall, faster than any normal creature. The girl froze, holding the toy tightly. "They are coming. They want it," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Mark stood quickly, scanning the ruins for any sign of threat. Nothing appeared, but the feeling of being watched grew stronger. Every small sound, the hum of the toy, the wind through broken metal, the girl's soft breathing, made the tension unbearable. Mark tried to calm the girl. "We will protect it. Together." She nodded, but her eyes did not leave the shadows. The toy glowed brighter in her hands, and suddenly tiny holographic images projected into the air. Maps, shapes, and strange symbols danced above the toy. Mark reached out, trying to understand. The girl gasped, "Do not. It is showing them where to find us if they see." Mark stepped back, realizing the toy could not only guide them but also warn their enemies. It was more than a toy. It was a signal, a beacon, and possibly a weapon. The mother spoke weakly. "They came for it once. We barely escaped. It is the last of its kind." Mark looked at her, understanding the weight of their situation. This small child and her broken toy held secrets that could change everything. He had been sent to explore, to document, to study, but now he was protector, engineer, and ally. The shadows grew closer, and he could hear soft mechanical noises, almost like tiny footsteps. The ruins themselves seemed to shift, metal groaning as if alive. The little alien girl clung to her mother, whispering soft prayers in her alien tongue. Mark knelt beside them, examining the toy carefully. He tried to understand how it worked, but every touch seemed to respond to the emotions of the girl. The stronger her fear or hope, the brighter it glowed, the faster the symbols moved. It was alive in a strange way, almost sentient. Mark realized that this was not just technology, it was connected to the people, to their hearts and minds. Then a sudden metallic clatter echoed from the shadows. The girl screamed softly, They are here!" Mark spun around, weapon ready, but saw nothing but darkness. Yet he felt movement, rapid and controlled, approaching. He could hear a soft mechanical whir, a rhythm like tiny engines. Something was hunting them, drawn by the toy. Mark tightened his grip on it, realizing that protecting it was now more than helping the girl. It was survival. The little girl whispered again, "Please, human, we must leave, now." Mark nodded, standing, careful not to drop the toy. The mother struggled to rise, leaning on Mark for support. The shadows flickered closer, the strange noises louder. Mark realized that leaving the ruins would not be easy. The toy was the center of attention, a prize for enemies they could not see. And yet, despite the fear, the girl's small hand clutched his arm, full of trust and hope. Mark took a deep breath, looking at the glowing toy. He understood that this device, fragile and small, held a mystery bigger than anything he had faced. The journey ahead would be dangerous, full of unknown threats. But he could not leave the girl or her mother behind. The broken toy had become the key to their survival, and possibly the key to secrets that could change the galaxy. As they stepped forward, leaving the ruined walls behind, Mark felt the weight of the moment pressing down. The shadows followed, silent but present. The little alien girl whispered softly, We must go before they find us." Mark nodded, holding the glowing device. This was only the beginning of a story much larger than any of them could imagine.
The ruins seemed quieter now, but the air was heavy with tension. Captain Mark held the glowing toy tightly, feeling its faint hum pulse like a heartbeat. The little alien girl clung to her mother, her small hands trembling. "They are close. They can sense it," she whispered, her large eyes wide with fear. Mark scanned the horizon, the shadows of the broken buildings stretching long in the dim light. Something moved among the rubble, faster than any normal creature, silent, deliberate. He raised his weapon, careful to stay calm. The mother groaned, leaning weakly on Mark. "They are not human," she said softly, her voice trembling. Mark nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. Whatever was coming for them was not ordinary, and it was very determined. A soft metallic clatter echoed through the ruins. Mark froze, listening, every muscle tense. The little alien girl's eyes followed the sound, her body shaking. "They are hunting us, the toy," she whispered, her voice almost breaking. Suddenly, a shadow moved across the wall, faster than a human could run. Mark's heart raced as he tried to identify the source. Nothing was visible, yet he could feel it, approaching silently. The mother whispered more urgently, "We must move, quickly." Mark nodded, lifting her gently, careful not to drop the toy. The little girl clutched the device tightly, her small body trembling. Mark looked around, realizing that the ruins offered little cover. They would have to run through open ground, exposed and vulnerable. Every shadow seemed alive, every sound amplified. The ruins themselves felt like a trap, closing in around them. Then he heard it, a soft mechanical hum growing louder. Mark turned, catching a glimpse of small, sleek machines skimming the ground.
They moved like predators, their lights faint but glowing, scanning the area. Mark knew immediately they were after the toy, and they would not stop. The little girl screamed softly, They want it, human." Mark tightened his grip, standing protectively in front of them. The mother looked at him, fear and trust in her eyes. "We have to escape. Now," she said weakly, nodding toward a narrow passage between broken walls. They ran carefully, Mark leading, the mother leaning on him, the girl holding the toy. The machines followed, their whirring motors growing louder with each step. The ruins echoed with the sound of pursuit, metal scraping against broken stone. Mark tried to think, to find a way to slow them down. He tossed the small rock toward a pile of rubble, making a loud crash. Two of the machines veered toward it, giving them a momentary gap. The girl gasped, "Thank you, human." Mark did not answer, his focus entirely on moving them forward. The passage opened into a larger chamber, shadows stretching long and eerie. Mark scanned quickly, searching for exits. The toy in the girl's hands began to glow brighter, projecting strange symbols into the air. Mark realized the device was reacting to danger, alerting them. He studied the holograms, trying to understand. "They are showing us a path," he murmured. The little girl nodded, pointing toward a dim corridor. We must follow, quickly." As they moved, the machines grew faster, almost like they knew the route. The mother groaned with every step, her strength fading. Mark held her up, urging her forward. The little girl's voice broke the tense air. "Hurry, human, before they find us." Mark glanced back, seeing two machines skimming over the broken ground. Their eyes glowed a soft red, scanning, searching. He realized they had no chance to fight them openly. The only way was to escape, use the ruins to their advantage. Mark ducked behind a fallen wall, holding the toy close. The machines passed by, scanning, missing them by inches. He motioned for the girl and her mother to follow quietly. Each step was dangerous, each shadow a possible threat. The little girl's grip on the toy never faltered, her fear mixing with determination. Mark felt a strange connection to her, to this small, fragile life. The toy was not just a device, it was hope, survival, and the reason they were alive. Suddenly, one of the machines stopped, spinning in place, its sensors glowing. Mark realized it had detected movement near the far wall. He whispered urgently, "Keep low, move fast." The girl nodded, clinging to her mother. They ran through the narrow corridor, the walls echoing with the soft hum of the machines. Mark's heart pounded, every muscle tense. The shadows flickered, the air seemed alive. They reached a small chamber with a hatch, dim light spilling from above. Mark lifted the mother gently, the girl following. He opened the hatch, revealing a ladder leading upward. The machines were close now, the hum deafening. Mark took a deep breath and climbed, holding the toy tightly. The girl whispered, We will be safe. Maybe." Mark did not answer, focusing on the climb, the urgency of the moment. Above them, the sky was darkening, a strange storm forming. The ruins below were alive with motion, enemies hunting. Mark knew the journey had only begun. The toy's glow pulsed in his hands, guiding them into the unknown. And the little alien girl whispered once more, They will not give up, human." Mark looked at her, determined. No matter what was coming, he would protect them. The danger was only approaching, but they had each other, and for now, that was enough.
They climbed the ladder carefully, the little girl holding the glowing toy tightly. Captain Mark lifted the mother gently, keeping her safe. Above them, the ruins stretched like a maze, shadows twisting in the fading light. The wind carried a strange electric hum, and Mark could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon them. When they reached the top, they entered a small hidden chamber. It was dark, but the toy's glow filled the room with soft blue light. Mark placed it on a flat surface, watching as the symbols projected into the air. The holograms swirled and moved, forming shapes, maps, and strange diagrams. The little girl gasped, It is showing everything! Everything my mother protected!" Mark stepped closer, examining the projection. The symbols began to shift and reveal structures, glowing pathways, and what appeared to be energy sources. This is more than a toy," he murmured, astonished. The mother stirred, weak but alert, her eyes scanning the projection with fear and recognition. They will come for this," she said softly, her voice trembling. "The fleet, the ones who want it, they will not stop. It is dangerous." The little girl's hands shook as she touched the holograms. Mark watched carefully, realizing the toy was not only a signal, but a key to a secret. It contained knowledge her people had hidden for centuries, a technology so advanced that any wrong hands could destroy planets. Mark's heart raced, the stakes higher than anything he had imagined. Suddenly, a soft hum grew louder, and the symbol shifted into a new pattern. It revealed a glowing path leading far beyond the ruins to another hidden location. The girl whispered, It will guide us, but we must move quickly." Mark nodded, understanding that the toy was showing them both a way to escape and a way to protect the secret. The shadows outside the chamber shifted again, evidence that enemies were still hunting them. The mother spoke weakly, "I kept it hidden for years. The fleet came once. We barely escaped. If they find it, all will be lost. The galaxy will suffer." Mark looked at her, realizing that their small group held the weight of countless lives. He felt a mix of fear and responsibility. This was no longer just survival, it was a mission to protect something far greater than themselves. The little girl clutched the toy close, tears in her eyes. "Please, human, we must go, before they come." Mark nodded, helping the mother stand. The glowing device projected a map to a safe location. Mark studied it carefully, memorizing the route. They would have to move fast, avoid detection, and trust the toy completely. As they prepared to leave, a sudden noise echoed outside the chamber. The metallic hum of the pursuing machines grew louder, closer. Mark motioned for silence, holding the toy in one hand and his weapon in the other. The little girl pressed against him, her fear mixed with determination. The mother leaned heavily on his shoulder, whispering, "Go, protect it, protect the child." They stepped into the corridor, moving quietly but quickly. The shadows of the machines flickered on the walls, hunting, searching. Mark realized that each second counted. Every mistake could mean disaster. The toy pulsed softly, guiding them through the dark. The little girl whispered softly, It knows where to go. Trust it." Mark nodded, following its light, trusting the unknown. Suddenly, a panel on the wall opened, revealing a hidden path. It was narrow and dark, but it provided cover, a chance to evade the pursuers. Mark helped the mother through first, then the girl. The toy's glow illuminated their path, showing obstacles and dangers ahead. Mark felt a strange connection to the device, understanding that it was alive in some way. It responded to emotions, to fear, to hope, and now to trust. As they moved deeper into the hidden path, Mark could hear the machines behind them, their sensors glowing, their hum growing louder. The little girl whispered urgently, "Almost there. We can hide before they find us." Mark glanced at her, determination in his eyes. No matter what was coming, he would protect them in the secret. The ruins outside were no longer a place of safety. They were a battlefield, a test of courage, and the toy was the key to their survival. Finally, they reached a small chamber, concealed and safe for now. The toy projected its light, calm and steady. Mark placed it gently on a surface, letting it guide their next steps. The little girl whispered, We must rest, but they will come. We are not safe yet." Mark nodded, understanding that the journey ahead would be even more dangerous. But now they had the secret.
the key, and a chance to survive. The shadow of the fleet and the unknown enemies loomed, and the adventure was far from over.
The hidden chamber was quiet for a moment, the toy's soft glow lighting the faces of the little alien girl and her mother. Captain Mark took a deep breath, knowing they had only a brief moment of safety. "The machines will come, soon," the mother whispered weakly. Mark nodded, scanning the corridor ahead, planning their escape. The little girl clutched the glowing toy tightly, her small hands trembling. "It will guide us. Trust it," she whispered softly, her large eyes filled with hope. Mark smiled slightly, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Then we follow it," he said firmly, determination in his voice. They moved carefully, the mother leaning on him for support. The corridor was narrow, the walls closing in, but it provided cover from the machines outside. Suddenly, a low hum filled the air, the sound of the pursuing machines growing louder. Mark motioned for silence, moving slowly but quickly. The little girl's heart pounded, but she trusted him. The toy glowed brighter, projecting symbols and arrows in the air. Mark followed them closely, understanding that the device was leading them to safety. As they turned a corner, a sharp metallic clang echoed behind them. One of the machines had found their trail, its sensors glowing red. Mark raised his weapon, firing carefully to distract it. The machine spun and whirred, giving them a precious moment to continue. The girl gasped, "Go! Go! Fast!" Mark nodded, urging the mother forward, her steps slow but steady. The hidden passage opened into a cavern beneath the ruins. Stalactites hung from the ceiling, shadows stretching long and eerie. The toy's glow illuminated a path forward, a narrow bridge over a deep chasm. Mark led the way, holding the mother's hand. The little girl followed, clutching the device tightly, her small body shaking but determined. Behind them, the machines scuttled into the cavern, their red sensors glowing. Mark could hear their mechanical whirs, their pursuit relentless. He realized they had only one chance to escape. Ahead, a faint light shimmered at the end of the cavern. Mark whispered, "Almost there. Stay close. We can make it." The group moved quickly, carefully crossing the narrow bridge. The cavern echoed with the sound of pursuit, the machine's hum growing louder. The little girl's voice trembled. "Please, human, do not let them take it." Mark held the toy tightly, understanding its importance. It was not only their guide, but also the key to protecting the galaxy from unknown dangers. Suddenly, one of the machines lunged from the shadows, its claws reaching for the toy. Mark swung his weapon, disabling it with a precise strike. The machine fell into the chasm below with a loud clang. The mother gasped, and the girl's eyes widened in relief. Mark whispered, "Keep moving. We are not safe yet." At last, they reached a hidden exit, a small tunnel leading to the open sky. The sun was setting, casting golden light over the ruins. Mark helped the mother climb through, then the little girl, the toy glowing softly in her hands. Outside, the wind blew gently, carrying the sound of distant machines searching in vain. For now, they were safe, but Mark knew the danger was far from over. The little girl hugged her mother tightly, tears of relief streaming down her cheeks. Mark knelt beside them, studying the glowing toy. "It will guide us further, to safety and to what must be protected," she whispered softly. Mark nodded, understanding the weight of the responsibility they carried. The toy was small, but its secret could change everything. They had survived, but their mission had only just begun. As night fell, they set up a small camp, the toy illuminating their surroundings. Mark looked at the girl and her mother, seeing hope in their eyes. He realized that this small family had taught him courage, trust, and determination. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, but together they had a chance. The little girl whispered again, "We will be safe, for now." Mark smiled, feeling a sense of purpose. They had escaped the ruins, evaded the hunters, and preserved the secret. But he knew the fleet would not stop, and the journey ahead would be full of challenges. The toy glowed softly, a beacon of hope and guidance. Mark held it carefully, determined to protect it and the alien family. The stars above twinkled,
endless and mysterious, hinting at adventures yet to come. The mother rested, finally showing a faint smile. The little girl leaned against Mark, her eyes heavy with exhaustion but full of trust. Mark looked at them, knowing he would face any danger to keep them safe. The galaxy was wide and full of unknown threats, but hope had survived. And in the heart of a small alien girl, a tiny toy and a human protector, a story of courage, survival, and the beginning of something greater had just begun.
The night had settled over the ruins, stars shining faintly through the alien sky. Captain Mark stood with the little girl and her mother, the glowing toy resting gently between them. They had escaped the immediate danger, but Mark knew this was not the end. Something in the distance whispered to him, a faint vibration in the ground, a presence he could not see. The little girl hugged the toy tightly, her large eyes reflecting the stars. We are safe. For now, she whispered. Her mother looked at Mark, worry and gratitude mixing in her eyes. You have saved us, human, but the fleet, they will not stop. Mark nodded solemnly, understanding that their fight was only beginning. The toy glowed softly, projecting new symbols into the air. Mark leaned closer, studying them. This time, the holograms revealed not just paths, but entire worlds, glowing like tiny blue jewels. The secrets, the technology, it is connected to many places, Mark murmured, astonished. The little girl whispered softly, Yes, my people, we kept it hidden, to protect life, to protect hope. Mark looked at her, realizing the responsibility they now carried. It was no longer just about survival. It was about protecting something far bigger than themselves. The galaxy could change because of this small device and its knowledge, and they were the guardians now, at least for the moment. Suddenly, a distant light flashed across the horizon, quick and unnatural. Mark's instinct screamed danger, and he scanned the night sky. The mother gasped softly, The fleet! They are coming! The little girl hugged the toy tightly, whispering a soft prayer. Mark placed a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. We will face them, together, he said, determination in his voice. The stars above seemed endless, full of mystery and possibility. Mark thought about the journey ahead, about unknown worlds and dangers. He had come to this planet for exploration, but now he was a protector, a guide. The little girl and her mother had trusted him, and he would not fail them. The toy pulsed in response, almost alive, guiding them, giving them hope. It was fragile, yet powerful, simple, yet dangerous. It held secrets that could protect or destroy depending on who controlled it. The mother looked at Mark, her voice quiet but firm. You must protect it. They will come with more force. The galaxy depends on it. Mark nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He glanced at the girl, who looked at him with trust and fear intertwined. I will protect you both, and this secret, no matter what comes, he whispered. The toy glowed softly, as if acknowledging his promise. From the distant sky, faint shadows moved, ships or machines, silent but relentless. Mark realized they only had a small window before the next danger arrived. They needed to leave this planet, find allies, and prepare. The girl whispered, The path, the toy, it will guide us to safety and to hope. Mark took a deep breath, scanning the horizon. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders. And now, a small human, a little alien girl, her mother, and a glowing toy were part of a story bigger than themselves. He looked at the stars and smiled slightly. The adventure was far from over, and he knew it would test them all. But for now, they were alive, and hope survived. The little girl hugged her mother and whispered softly, We can survive, together. Mark held the glowing toy close, feeling its warmth and light. A new journey was beginning, filled with unknown worlds, enemies, and mysteries.
and as the wind blew softly across the alien landscape, he knew one thing clearly. This was only the beginning, and together they would face whatever the galaxy had in store.
The little alien girl clutched the glowing toy tightly, her small hand shaking. Captain Mark scanned the alien horizon, every shadow and movement making him tense. The ruins behind them lay quiet, but the air felt heavy, charged with an unseen presence. Mark knew the fleet they had escaped was only the beginning. Suddenly, a distant light flickered in the sky, too precise to be natural. The mother's eyes widened, fear flashing across her face. "They are here, not just scouts, the commanders," she whispered. Mark's grip tightened on the toy, feeling its gentle hum respond to the rising tension. The little girl shivered, hiding behind Mark. They know we have it," she whispered softly, her voice trembling. From the distance, shadows shifted, large shapes moving with purpose. Mark could see the faint glow of advanced technology scanning the planet. "They are hunting us again, stronger, faster," the mother said weakly. Mark took a deep breath, thinking quickly. He knew they could not outrun the entire fleet. They needed a plan, and the toy held the key. The glowing device projected a new hologram, symbols forming faster than before. Maps of distant systems, hidden corridors, and secret alien refuges appeared in the air. The little girl gasped, pointing at the projection. It shows," she whispered, "it shows where they will strike first." Mark studied the hologram carefully, realizing that the fleet's arrival was imminent. He whispered urgently, "We must move, now, follow the toy." They ran through the alien terrain, the mother leaning on Mark for support. The shadows of the approaching fleet grew brighter on the horizon. Metallic shapes hovered in the sky, scanning for heat and movement. The little girl's small voice broke the tense silence. They will not give up. They will destroy everything to get it." Mark nodded, knowing she was right. The toy's light pulsed brighter, guiding them through hidden paths. It was both a shield and a guide, the only chance they had. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ground behind them. The fleet's machines had discovered part of the ruins. Mark turned, seeing fire and sparks in the distance. "They are closing in," he shouted, urgency in his voice. The girl clutched the toy tightly, whispering prayers in her alien language. Mark glanced at her, determination filling his heart. No matter what came, he would protect them and the secret device. As they moved deeper into the hidden valleys, strange alien wildlife scurried away, sensing the danger. Mark realized the fleet was adaptive, using both machines and living spies. The mother whispered weakly, They will never stop unless..." Mark turned to her, waiting for her words. "The ancient guardians, the protectors, we may need them," she said softly, eyes filled with hope and fear. Mark nodded, understanding this could mean traveling farther than they ever had. The toy pulsed in agreement, almost as if sensing the truth of her words. The alien girl looked at Mark, fear and excitement in her eyes. Do you think we can fight them?" she asked softly. Mark smiled faintly. "We do not need to fight yet. We need to survive and be smart." She nodded, holding the toy closer, its glow lighting her determined face. Mark scanned the horizon one last time, the fleet's shadow moving closer. The adventure was far from over, and now a new threat had emerged, bigger, stronger, and relentless. He whispered to the girl and her mother, "Stay close, trust the toy, and trust me." The toy's glow pulsed steadily, showing paths, hiding places, and the faint outlines of ancient ruins. Mark knew that the journey ahead would test them all, but together they had hope, courage, and the bond between human and alien. And as the distant stars twinkled above, he understood that this was only the start of a much larger story. The galaxy was full of unknown dangers, but also possibilities. And with the little alien girl, her mother, and the glowing toy, Mark was ready to face whatever came next.